Chapter 1. Fog over London. Fog over London, oh me, oh my, what's to become of us? Said Hare, looking at the leaden sky again and again, and wishing it all away. But it would not go. Indeed, it grew colder by the minute, and he fretted, his long feet losing their feeling, and the tips of his ears growing numb. All around him people fought for space, trolleys, and the sweet reassurance that somewhere out there in the cold afternoon there was a hidden plane waiting to take them away from their misery. "Tomorrow," said the maiden at the airline desk. "Tomorrow," Hare sighed. It was tonight he was worried about. Fog, fog, go away. Come again another day, any day but not tomorrow, he whispered to himself. A fine way to start an adventure. He was on his way to Africa to seek out his cousins, history, roots, and here he was, rooted at Heathrow Airport and not a plane in sight. "You are to spend the night in London. Our plane has been delayed at Manchester owing to the fog. Please gather at the information desk. Coaches will take you to your hotel as soon as possible," announced the sleek young maiden. Well, that did sound cheerful, thought Hare. His hand luggage was becoming so heavy and growing more so with every second that dragged its cold, weary feet after his own. He was glad to get onto the coach, glad to get away from the cold, away from the desperate faces all around him, staring at the silent sky. Outside the window of the coach, he could see the M4 motorway, blurred and aloof, like a stranger wearing a thick tweed coat in deep grey fog. He thought of his friends back home on the river, by their warm fires, and sighed. Crawler would miss him. He had taken out one of Horatio's silk handkerchiefs to wave him goodbye and shed a tear. The hotel was warm, bright, and modern. Hare's eyes grew with the delightful surprise of it all. He was given a key and took the lift to the 5th floor, where he opened one of the doors on a long corridor to behold a palace. At least that is what it seemed to Hare. The room had 2 beds. He'd have a job to sleep in both of them, so he chose the one by the window. Then he lost his head and had a good bounce. "Just testing the springs," he said between bounces. "Oh, my silky ears," he chirped. "Isn't this a wheeze? I have my own bathroom, all to myself, my own television, all to myself, 2 beds and 2 chairs, all to myself. Am I not the most fortunate of hoppity hares?" How Cook and Crawler would exclaim at this luxury. Hop, hop, his overnight bag gave 2 distinct hops along the luggage rack. Funny, thought Hare, and returned it to its original position. As he turned away, it hopped again, and this time Hare caught the handle and felt about inside it. Out of the opening came a croak, and the word "ouch" rose strongly as he poked something soft and warm and living. He screamed. Crawler's 2 large eyes blinked at him over the rim. "Well," he said, "where's all the sunshine and the warmth? I thought Africa was meant to be hot, 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 but I woke up with cold, cold feet. It's been like Devon. It's more like Devon than Africa." "You impossible toad. Have you followed me all the way from Devon?" "What are you doing here?" Crawler climbed out of the bag. "I might ask the same of you," he said irritably. "If we are not in Africa, then where are we, dear boy? Not hijacked to the Antarctic Circle, I hope. Feel my hand, frozen. And as for my toes—" "Fog," said Hare, "London fog," and he pointed to the window. Crawler hobbled across on wobbly legs and looked out. "It looks like London, same colours, same buses. Hare, you have bitterly deceived me. I should never have stowed away in your bag if I thought I was being brought to London." "What cheek! Can I help it if the weather turn nasty?" cried Hare. "It's all your fault," cried Crawler, being as unreasonable as ever. "No, it's not, it's yours," replied Hare hotly. "I never invited you to share my adventure." "I knew you wouldn't," said Crawler, "so I hid in your bag, dear boy. I say, that's an extra bed. Correction. I shall sleep in it, so it's not extra any longer, is it?" he said boldly. "I think you should go home on the next train," sighed Hare. "Cruel, how could you put me out on a night like this? I am Africa bound, and my destiny is linked to yours, dear boy." Crawler was never one to take no for an answer. "You can't possibly sleep here," cried Hare. "Why not?" asked a perplexed Crawler. "Because the maid would notice. 2 beds slept in, 1 only paid for," was his reply. "Dear me, no. That poor soul would never notice. Never, ever. Consider the number of beds she makes. Poor dear doesn't see beds at all. All she sees is one gigantic bed to be made, stretching from Land's End to John O'Groats, dear boy. No single bed is going to cry out to her in her automatic sheet turning, 'Crawler slept here.' Oh no, it's going to be perfectly all right." He borrowed Hare's sponge bag and ran himself a deep hot bath. "I'm going to relax these poor cramped muscles. All those hours crouched in that dark have given me a distinct curvature." Hare was too polite to say that he was that shape before the journey began. At 8 o'clock they were taken to a banqueting hall for dinner. Large round tables gave Hare an opportunity to look at his fellow passengers and man in general. The lady on the other side of the table was moaning about the food. Hare looked at his steak and salad and felt deeply grateful to the hotel, which had taken them in from the cold and the gloom at the drop of a hat. Here they were, sitting down to a 3-course dinner in splendid surroundings. How could she expect more? Perhaps her soup was cold, but she had spent precious minutes chattering about the folly of airports and the hazards of travel in general. There are some people who would find fault with the pearly gates if they were ever given a chance to do so, he thought. To Hare, life was full of blessings, though the blessing of having Crawler for a companion was yet to be counted. "Mum," said a candid 5-year-old with ginger plaits, "why does that rabbit over there keep talking to his bag?" "Does he, dear? Get on and eat your dinner." "Mum, is that rabbit a ventriloquist, Mum?" "No, dear. Finish your pudding." "Mum, perhaps he is, and—" "Will you do as you are told?" said her mother severely to stop the flow of questions. Hare pushed Crawler in his bag firmly out of sight under the table and quietly continued to eat, with his ears well back. When he accidentally dropped a mushroom, a voice cried, "Fielded," from under the table, but he pretended not to hear.